My name is Gil Shalev. I'm the CEO of Equinome and the founder of the company. I will present you our activity. But first of all, I will need to explain you in 5 seconds what is a breeding. Breeding is where the breeder is selecting different diversity in the field. He combines this diversity together and he produces a new product. The product can be worse from where he started from. It can be the same or it can be better. Of course, as a breeder, we wish to have the better product. The problem is that in most cases, it's a trial and error process. I know there is a lot of technology that have been developed, but as a breeder, I can tell you that if you go to the field and you will look on the process, most of the breeder will tell you that they have to do the cross, validate it, and then see if they like it or not. What we're doing in Equinome, we actually re-engineer the process by using novel algorithm that we develop in the company, and we prove that we can do breeding 2 times faster and with a 10x success rate. As a company, we decided to be a seed company, not a technology, and we targeted a $10 billion product market, which I'll explain later. So the opportunity that, of course, everybody, I believe, familiar with that is the sequencing cost. And this is what we took in the company 3 years ago. And it's very easy to understand that the cost per 1 megabase was reduced dramatically over the 15 years, meaning that for us as a breeder, we have a tool, actually, that we can use in the breeding. But the question is what we can do with it. So again, just short explanation of the technology. So breeding is going from A to B. And the classical breeding, as I explained before, is more like trial and error, is where the breeder is actually going for different directions, and it chooses, on the process, it chooses if you like it or doesn't like it. Hopefully, if you will define the process as a 5% success rate, this is how we calculate the cost of the breeding. If we put sequencing tools, meaning that we put maps, genomic maps on each single plant in the greenhouse, it gives us something. It gives us a map. In most cases, we don't know really what is the name of the streets and the number of the houses, meaning we don't know the functional, the gene functions relevant for each crop, but it gives us an orientation. 35 years ago, actually, technology that called marker assisted selection was developed. This technology gives you, in a way, to define a single molecular marker, a single gene, which you can use in the breeding. And by that, you can shortcut the process by having those genes into the breeding process. The problem is that we don't have a lot of those markers into the crops that we breed, and actually we have quite few. One of the main reasons is that those markers really reflected only a single gene effect, where it's very rare to define those. So what we have done in Equinome is we said, okay, the current technology doesn't help us because it's very limited, and we decided we are not looking for genes, we are looking for genomic blocks. Once you define a genomic block that this is something that is relevant for you, then the whole process becomes more simplified. So we said, first of all, in the process, and meaning it's a process that we are doing in the breeding trials. It's not a simultaneous process. It's not something that happened beside the technology. It's a true story, and I will explain later on what is the crops that we are breeding. So the first things that we have to do, we have to discover the names of the streets. We have to discover where are the traits that we want to combine together. The second phase of the process is saying, okay, we know what is the name of the streets, then we need to define the code of the product. And if we know the code of the product, it's much more easy to draw the route, how to proceed it. And our success rate is 50% versus the 5 that you saw before. This is the true result of a breeding program on blocky paper for the Israeli market. What you can see here, red, orange, and yellow varieties, it's a program that we started 3 years ago. And you can see that we succeed to bring varieties with higher level of high yield quality compared to the controls that you see in the lines. And we have also a variety that increased in 40% comparing to the control, which is the 0 in each of the graphs that you can see. So by the way, those varieties will be commercialized next year. 4 years of breeding, which is more or less half of the time that it's takes to a regular classical process to do. As I explained before, Equinome is a seed company, and we decided to breed orphan crops. It's very easy to understand what is an orphan crop if you compare maize and wheat in the breeding, or let's say it's combined everything's together. If you see the y-axis, it's the yield acre per pound per acre, which is representing what was the advance on those crops, including breeding, of course. And there are crops like chickpeas, quinoa, and sesame, where there is no really big advance over the 50 years. So we decided if we find a market that is $1 billion market for those crops, we can do using our technology, and we can really accelerate the breeding and have a very fast product that can take all the market, because it's an orphan crop, we want to take the entire global market of those crops, which means that we are the only company or fewer company that actually working on those crops. This is a good example of what you can do with sesame, for example. You can see parent A on the left and parent B on the right, and the number of the capsules for each line, and this is the hybrid that we are breeding using our technology. And I think the picture is saying everything. It reminds me what's happened almost 100 years ago in corn. So the activity is, just to summarize, in sesame, we are doing a proprietary variety and mechanical harvest, of course. They should be mechanically harvested. We work also in quinoa, where we define this crop very interesting because of the protein quality of this crop, and we believe that we can reduce the cost the production cost to a wheat production cost, and then this crop can be very interesting regarding protein. We have a collaboration project worldwide from Japan, in Europe, and in the United States. And we also, because we want to sell proprietary seeds, meaning hybrids, we develop a technology that can produce hybrids using natural pollination. It's a non-GMO technology, and we doesn't need the male sterility to produce those hybrids. I think that's it. Thank you. And
hello, my name is Anat Talgoa Solomon. I'm the CEO of Satoras, and I'm pleased to have this opportunity to introduce you to Satoras Advanced Sensor for Precise Irrigation. When we talk about precision irrigation, people tend to think that it is all about saving water. Saving water is important and becoming a necessity in many countries, but people usually don't know that in addition to saving water, precise irrigation can also improve the quality and the quantity of crops. For example, in the case of wine grapes, smart irrigation can make all the difference in the wine quality, and as a result, increase the prices per bottle. So actually, precise irrigation is all about controlling the precious resource of water for optimal yield. But knowing that we can control what we cannot measure, the question is, how can the farmer measure the real water status of his crops? Sensors for irrigation have been available in the market for at least 30 years. With these sensors, farmers can measure the soil moisture, fruit expansion, or even small changes in the thickness of the stem. But all of the available sensors have limitations. Based on long discussion with farmers, we know that due to this limitation, farmers are anxious for accurate, direct, and cost-effective solutions to determine the real water status of their crops. As opposed to all other solutions, Satoras Advanced Sensor measure the water potential in the stem. If we follow the water movement from the roots to the leaf, we will find a water potential gradient along the tree. The stem water potential is a scientifically recognized, highly accurate parameter for determining water status, but today it can only be measured by a complex and limited manual device. Satoras miniature sensor is embedded in the stem of the tree, in direct contact with the water tissues. This gives online, direct, and reliable measurements of the precise water status. Data collected from the sensor is then processed, and the farmer receives instructions for optimal irrigation. Due to the accurate measurement, we need only 1 or 2 sensors per hectare. This is an advantage over available sensors that require 5 to 9 units in order to average their results. Satora's solution will provide the farmers with the benefits they have been seeking for decades. The ability to irrigate with the exact amount of water that the crops need will result in better yields in quality and quantity. For the farmers, that means higher income, less risk and losses, and saving water, which is becoming a serious issue worldwide. Precise irrigation has been marked as one of the top challenges in future agriculture development. We know that currently about 80% of the farmers worldwide irrigate with no control. However, the global food challenge will force the farmers to be more accurate and more sophisticated in order to provide the crops that the world will need. Based on worldwide irrigated areas, the estimated potential market for our first target crops of orchard, wine grapes, and cotton exceeds $1 billion per year. We are currently conducting successful alpha tests in avocado, mango, citrus, and peach. The process of embedding the sensor into the stem starts with a simple drill under wet condition. Then we place the sensor in the tree, seal it with a common sealing material, and connect the embedded sensor to the communication box attached to the tree. This is the curve that we received with Satora's sensor operating continuously in peach tree. It shows the expected pattern during the day. You can notice the stem water potential level during the midday peak that can indicate stress condition, and the minimum level just before sunrise when the tree is full with water. The result proves that we have contact between the sensor membrane and the tree's water tissues, and prove compatibility between our continuous measurements and the stem water potential level measured by the manual device. We expect to complete development and be ready with our first product in the market within 12 to 18 months. We are already in contact with several leading irrigation companies who are potential partners for bringing our products to market. After proving feasibility with the Satora's prototype and based on feedback that we are receiving from farmers, we strongly believe that our innovative solution can lead the irrigation field into a new era. We will need $2 million to reach profit in 2018. We expect above $1 million from non-dilutive funding. We invite you to join us in this fascinating breaking through project. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Igal Loyevsky, the Technology Manager of Vibe Technologies. I came up with an obscure unmet need in the industry and a solution for it, which we will present to you.
Hello, I'm Yair Tzadik. I'm the chairman of the company. Many years in the Air Force, to being one of the leaders of the Aero missile project, and many years in high-tech and clean-tech. I learned how to understand and know excellence in technology, which is what this guy is doing, and I hope that we bring it into success.
Well, the world trades over $1 trillion of agricultural commodities annually using container shipping of coffee, rice, tea, pulses, and many more. Quality checks are performed at the supplier and customer side, but today it's very problematic. Humans are not always assessing quality in the same way because of differences in color sensitivity and standards interpretation. It's like people on different sides having a different gauge in their hands. Another severe problem is the very lengthy supply chains. Many middlemen exist. The Fair Trade Organization tries to solve it, but they got less than 5% market share after almost 20 years of work. What if we could give everyone the same gauge, be more effective than fair trade, and do it in an extremely profitable way? Imagine a kind of Xerox machine performing quick and accurate quality checks, and a kind of Airbnb site connecting the trading partners globally. This solution will establish fair and effective international agricultural commodities trade, and Vibe is making it a reality. Vibe QualMaster is that Xerox machine performing an accurate quality check in less than a minute while before it was done inaccurately in 20 minutes. The entire quality data and the beautiful high-definition product image are instantly uploaded to the cloud and can be listed in the trading platform. Vibe Qual Market is that Airbnb site connecting the trading sites where the purchasers can see the products interesting them from all over the world, and they can search on the exact quality parameters they are looking for. This Qual Market example demonstrates the exclusive feature of searching by any measured property of the goods. Those results show containers of rice for sale having between 2% and 10% of broken grains.
Okay, our next milestone will be to make this on a phone, a cellular phone, and this is our next generation. It will be not only low cost and portable, but it will bring quick answers everywhere in the world, and you would be able to take this with a sample plate and your smartphone, open the application, take the picture, and in the cloud, we'll send the answer within seconds, like it is done in Waze. And this will enable many people, many traders to have these kind of systems. And this will enable us also to be a global center of data for commodities all over. Could be coffee, could be rice, could be grains. We will have the data and the algorithms of the specs and the quality measurements. This company has developed very interesting and sophisticated algorithms and won a very important award last year in the IMVC 2014, #1. And we have today 5 beta sites with our machines that are checking our algorithms and with very satisfied customers. And we have a few patents in application and a few interested customers in different places and different kinds of commodities. Today we are entering the new round of investment and we're looking for $1.5 million to be able to develop the Qual Mobile, to do global market penetration, to develop businessly and technically the Qual market, and to aggregate the knowledge base data. If we look at our roadmap and how do we monetize it, we have already passed through the computerized vision algorithms, and we have a very good Qual master working in beta sites and verifying these algorithms. And today we have already an alpha site of an e-commerce in a marketplace. Our next step is the Qual Mobile, and here we could monetize these by service fees, later on big data accumulation, and where we are looking for is to be the world's leading database for commodities and transactions because these kind of data features and data accumulation is not there out there today and is not going to be there, and this is a way to get it there. I'd like to thank you very much, and we're really looking forward to communicating with you in the future.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Nitza. Thank you, Avi Perel, and the committee for having afforded us the opportunity to discuss the Hinoman innovation. And thank you for the audience that is still around, quite impressive. I'm sure that you realize your moral duty to start your vote from 4 because you're a few people here in the room. Now, seriously speaking, a lot has been said today about the need to find solutions, how to feed the 9 or 10 billion people that are going to be around the time of my grandchildren. Not much has been said about the quality of the food or the crops that will need to be there and how it will meet the demand of consumers in terms of the tendencies we are already aware of people thinking of food as the new pharma. And what we do at Heinemann actually addresses both issues. We have developed a sustainable platform allowing for daily harvesting of a very rich protein leaf crop, leaf as opposed to seeds, the common source of protein today. And what I would like to submit or to invite you to think is just imagine you had an ideal vegetable, a tiny little vegetable, the size of something between a grain of salt and just a powder. And this tiny vegetable would be packed with your dream list of nutrients. A lot of protein, by the way, very healthy protein of a perfect amino acid profile. The vegetable will, beside the protein, will have a lot of iron, zinc, calcium, antioxidants. It will be gluten-free, it will be soy-free, it will be, of course, non-GMO, and beside all these merits, it will be growing on a system fully compatible with the notions of sustainable taken to the extreme, namely zero use of arable land, very, very marginal use of water, little use of energy, and using zero pesticides. Well, we have it. It's here, and if anybody is interested, you're welcome to come see me after the show. Actually, you are looking at the vegetable. It's right there on the upper side of the slide. You are looking at a carpet of confluently growing mankai, as we call it. It's a proprietary strain that our company bought a couple of years ago. And what we have done the last 3 years with the few millions of dollars that we raised is to very meticulously, using a team, 40% of our manpower is PhDs in biology, biochemistry, chemistry, and what they have been doing also in collaboration with some of the premier academic institutions of this country is to look at the aggregate cultivation environment of the plant, because this plant is very tricky. On the one hand, it corresponds to the wish list I just described. But on the other hand, it has no root. There was a lot discussed about root, and root, as we all know, is the filter of the plant. So when the plant has no root, the risks of absorbing what you don't want to see on your wish list is certainly there. And the other very interesting trait is the plant multiplies itself through sexual, but also asexual multiplication, so budding. Namely, every couple of days, the mother buds into a baby and a mother, and a couple of days later, each one of them again splits into a mother and a baby. So you're actually looking at an exponential growth of a plant that would, if complying, and it does comply, as you can imagine, with the wish list I just described, could be an amazing solution to feeding the world, but this time not only feeding the world, but feeding the world right. And why am I saying right? Because what we have been doing the last 3 years is we have been looking at every aspect on how to cultivate this plant to the maximum yields, maximum purity, And as a result, we have a plant, the identity card of which I will show in a minute, that is harvestable on a daily basis. So let's see what it looks like. Okay, so first of all, we've been discussing, I mentioned that the platform produced a very protein-rich plant. Now, if we look at three of the most distinguished trends or drivers shaping the relationship between agro and food, we are looking at a huge demand for protein. We are looking at consumers' willingness, even demand, to receive more healthy food. And I can tell you, I'm meeting people from all over the world, and consumers from middle class to upper class are willing to spend more money on food, provided they get convinced that the food that they will be nourishing to the family is healthier. We provide it. The quest for protein is nourished not only by the growth of population, but look at what's going on, for example, in the United States. 25 to 30% of Americans trying to avoid meat. It doesn't mean that all of them are vegetarians, but you've heard of phenomena like Meatless Monday, etc. People are increasing consumption of vegetable source protein. This is again about the protein. Here you can see the advantage of our production model, whereby the current sources of protein are so inefficient. It comes from a cow. Cow eats 70 kilograms of grass every single day of the year. Fish that is of dwindling resources, and the unstable, look at the drought now in California, source of protein from vegetable sources. Our solution, the production model, being aquaculture, can grow in proximity to urban center year-round, extremely efficient, and using only low amount of water. This is the vegetable, and this is the profile that is meeting all what I mentioned earlier. Specifically said, we have close to 50% of the vegetable, what we call whole protein, namely any and all of the essential amino acids that the body has to obtain from outside sources in order to build itself properly are all present there. Just to give you one example, soy is the major source of protein in the world. Today, 800 million dunams. This chart shows you very well the preferential coverage of all the nutrients one would like to see in one's food between the green one, our vegetable, and soy. Talking about the system, you can see all the sustainability elements are there, including the fact that we don't need seeding because, as I said, the plant multiplies itself. In terms of water, I'm grateful to Frost and Sullivan, who've performed work over our company, and they actually made the calculation. Look at the number of liters needed in order to generate 1 kilogram of protein with our mankai vegetable, as opposed to beef on the far end, or even soy or spinach. The difference is simply outrageous. So what we are going to have, we are in the process of advanced R&D, is a highly automated system that will be highly computerized. There will be a black box that will control the cultivation in a structure that will look just like that. We have part of it already with us right now. And this Hinoman Production Center will be providing fresh and dried mankai on a daily basis for usage that can be either as a food supplement or as a food ingredient, enhancing the quality of numerous types of foods. And as I see Nitsa approaching, I will finish with just one last thing. This is probably the kind of bread that we will want our children to consume. This bread is, in fact, every single millimeter of this bread has the same amount of this magic vegetable embedded, turning this bread from a curse of carbohydrates into a blessing of iron, of zinc, of protein, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the kind of products that we already have under patent. Thank you very much.